Is that all, Shella? You asked your secretary as you sat on your chair and let out a huge sigh. You were attending back-to-back meetings and you were dead tired. No, Wine, we are done with meetings. Just some paperwork left, and you'll be able to leave early, she said, her eyes scanning through her tablet, reading your schedule. Oh, thank God, I'm so tired. You threw your head back and sighed loudly. Shella chuckled and walked out of your cabin to finish her work. As soon as she left, you closed your eyes. However, you snapped them open when his face flashed before your eyes. It had been 5 years. 5 years since you last saw him, but he still resided in your heart like before. You still remember his words. I don't feel the same for you, Wine. It's better if we stay away from each other. I don't want to associate with you in any way. These words were still fresh in your mind, and they still stung your heart the same. You maintained distance from him, but couldn't stop loving him. It had been 5 years since he and his father suddenly disappeared, but your love for him was still the same. You tried so hard to move on, to forget him, but the stubborn heart of yours couldn't let go of the feeling. Your heart still beat for him, your ears still craved to hear his voice, and your soul still craved to feel loved by him. Gosh, stupid Ryan, here you are crying for him, and he doesn't care. He never did. You mumbled to yourself, wiping the few tears that rolled down your cheeks. Hey, sweetheart, you flinched when the door barged open and someone stepped inside. A smile made its way to your face when your eyes met the familiar ones. Would you ever learn how to knock? You're gonna give me a heart attack someday by barging like this, you said, shaking your head in helplessness. Come on, sweetheart. You know this is your fiance's style. He grinned, showing you his boxy smile. You rolled your eyes but couldn't stop the smile to bloom on your lips. You are impossible, Taeyong. He chuckled and walked up to your desk and took a seat across from you. He put a box in front of you and you raised an eyebrow in caution. Your favorite cupcakes from your favorite bakery. I went for a meeting nearby and thought to surprise you with some sweets. You smiled and opened the box, taking a bite from the cupcake. Thank you. I didn't know I needed this. He chuckled, leaning forward and crossing his arms across your desk. Well, actually, I'm here to tell you something. His expression suddenly turned serious. You straightened up, alarmed. Actually, he was cut off when your phone went off. You excused yourself and picked it up. Yes, Dad, tonight. Okay, I will. He watched as you talked to your dad and finally disconnected the call with a sigh. Raised his eyebrows when you pouted sadly. What happened? I need to fly to London tonight. Dad wants me to handle the deal myself. You replied, heaving an exhausted sigh. You dropped your head on the desk and let out a soft whine. I don't want to go. I want to rest in my bed. I'm so tired. You murmured, banging your head against the table. The young chuckled and ruffled your hair. Hey, it's fine. You can sleep during the flight. You can't complain now after choosing this profession yourself. Lifting your head, you narrowed your eyes at him, nevertheless let out a sigh. You are right. Anyways, what were you saying? You asked, sitting upright. He shook his head, waving his hand dismissively. It was nothing important. It can wait. You go to London and come back quickly. Have a safe journey. You nodded, giving him a small smile. He soon left after a few minutes. As soon as the door closed behind him, you reclined back on your chair, blinking up at the ceiling. Though you and Taeyong were engaged, there was nothing more than friendship between you. Also, this engagement was sudden. Your and Taeyong's father suddenly announced your engagement at a party, and you both had no choice but to accept it for the sake of their reputation. You both were carrying the weight of this unwanted engagement till now. Neither you nor Taeyong stepped forward to deny, and thus things were going with the flow. Moreover, there was no room for denying it, as your wedding was next week. Wedding? It left a bitter taste in your mouth. You didn't know why you were doing this and why weren't you stopping all of this when you clearly have someone else in your heart. It was unfair to Taeyong and you couldn't help but feel shameful and guilty. But there lay another truth that the certain someone wasn't yours to begin with. Heck, you didn't even know you were supposed to wait for him to return or move forward with your life. These complex feelings were more hurtful than a heartbreak. Everything is so complicated. You whispered to yourself, trying to seek some refuge from the conflicting thoughts, but you couldn't find peace nowhere. You were in London and now you were heading to the company where the meeting was supposed to take place. Shella was sitting beside you and you both were going through the documents for the last time. Suddenly, the car halted at a signal. You sighed and glanced out of the window. Your eyes caught something, or particularly someone. A man was playing with a kitten. Your thoughts drifted back to the day when you saw Jimin playing with the kitten and fell in love with him. A bittersweet smile curved on your lips when you realized the sweet moments were just some mere memories now. The person was long gone. You tried to look at the face of the man, but he was facing the other side. But as he sensed someone's gaze on him, he slowly craned his head. But then Shella called for you. The car moved, and the man was left behind. You shook off every other thought from your mind and pivoted your focus on your work. He is gone, you repeated in your head, reminding yourself that you were just being insane in love. Those feelings had turned you blind, vanishing every other thing except him, and you so wanted to get over this blindness. You glanced at your watch and looked around. Apparently, the CEO who you had a meeting with was running late, and you had to wait, the only thing you despised the most. You were a punctual person. You hated making people wait. You disliked the unprofessional behavior, and the CEO seemed to be testing every bit of your patience. Mr. Kevin, how long will your boss take? I don't have the whole day. You uttered, not hiding the irritation in your tone. He smiled apologetically and rose from his chair to make a phone call, but the door barged open. I appreciate your patience, Miss Lee. You froze on your spot when you saw him. The same person who once stole your heart and you never got it back. You couldn't believe your eyes that he was standing in front of you. His eyes were wide due to shock. He seemed equally affected as you. A pained expression crossed your face and you tore your gaze away from his. Boss, we were waiting for you. Shall we start the meeting? He nodded and moved towards the seat which was across from you. I'm sorry we have already wasted half an hour. So without further ado, let's get into the business. Your voice was cold and controlled, speaking of the distance between you both, and it hurt him. It pained him that you were so close yet so far away. Seeing you after 5 years made him happy yet sad at the same time. Happy that he finally got to see you and sad that things weren't the same anymore. He couldn't blame you though. He himself ruined the things. He ruined the beautiful bond you both once used to share. Sure, he swallowed the lump that formed in his throat and sat down. Soon the meeting started, but he couldn't focus on it. His gaze kept flickering back at you. Meanwhile, you sat there with a poker face. You were physically present in the meeting, but mentally you had driven back to the time 5 years ago. You could feel his gaze, but you refused to meet his eyes, knowing you would break down if you would look at him a moment longer. The 1 hour seemed one lifetime as you fought back your emotions, wearing a mask of indifference. But deep down, you just wanted to slap him hard and ask him where he disappeared, where he was all these years, and many more. Finally, the meeting was over, and you couldn't wait to rush out of there. The employees left one by one. Shella and Kevin left to discuss something about the meeting, leaving you alone with Jimin. You got up. Your hands trembled as you hastily packed your stuff. The room felt suffocating, and with Jimin in the same space, it felt hard to breathe. From your peripheral vision, you watched him getting up. Rounding the desk, he walked over to you. How have you been, Ryan? Fine. And I would like it if you called me Miss Lee. I ain't your friend who you are calling with the first name. Ouch. If you said it to hurt him, you actually hit the spot. Heart flashed on his face, but he concealed it with a faint smile. You don't want to be called my friend anymore? Did I hurt you that much? You chuckled humorlessly and looked up at him. You shuddered on his spot when he saw the coldness in your eyes and something else hidden beneath, something familiar yet unknown. Friend. We don't just suddenly disappear without informing our friend. We don't spend years without contacting our friend. Maybe our definitions about friendship are different, and I'd like to keep it this way. We are better off strangers. He gulped the hurt that spread in his heart hearing you. Your complaints, your behavior towards him was justified, but he was helpless as well. Only he knew how hurt he was after hurting you. But destiny is cruel to good people. First he had to let go of you because of his father's promise, and then he had to fly to London due to a job opportunity. Only he knew how hard it was for him to live every day, loving you to the fullest, knowing you both couldn't be together. Hand over the contract to my secretary. I'll send it back after reading it. Saying so, you walked past him and out of the meeting room. As the door clicked shut, Jimin exhaled shakily. His eyes burned with unshed tears, but he refused to let them fall. He hadn't cried all these years, and he couldn't afford to lose control on his emotions now. I'm sorry, I was helpless. I loved you. I still love you, but His words disappeared in the thin air as always. The silent confession was always swallowed by air. It could never reach you. You gulped down the shot, looking unbothered by your surroundings, but you knew he was looking. He had his eyes stuck at you ever since you stepped inside the venue. The party was thrown to celebrate the collaboration between your and Jimin's company. You didn't want to come, to face him again, but you had to. You were sitting in the far corner away from him, but close to his prying eyes. You glanced at him and stiffened, seeing him walking in your direction. However, another man beat him to it and stood in front of you. You looked up at him in confusion as he extended his hand towards you. Hey, I'm Mike. I saw you have been sitting here alone for a long time. Would you like to have a dance with me? You were about to deny, but then you noticed Jimin's gaze stuck at you. Sure, you placed your hand on his outstretched one. A sense of satisfaction spread within when you watched his darkened expression. You didn't know why his reaction gave you a contentment. Mike ushered you into the middle and started swaying along with you. You smiled and looked at Jimin over his shoulder, only to find him glaring at you, gulping shots after shots. It was awkward to dance with a total stranger, but at least he didn't turn out to be a pervert, much to your relief. Besides, you were enjoying Jimin's reaction. Not until you felt a grasp on your wrist. You looked at the person to find Jimin staring down at you with red eyes and a clenched jaw. Come with me. Your words died on your lips when he dragged you away from the dance floor. You twisted your wrist trying to break free, but he refused to let go. Leave me, leave me. You wrenched your wrist out of his hold and glared at him. Have you gone mad? What kind of behavior is this? His jaw ticked as he grabbed your shoulders and pinned you against the wall. You winced as your back collided with the wall a little roughly. Yes, I have gone mad, because I am madly in love with you. Your eyes enlarged in shock. Lips parted and a breathy gasp escaped your lips. His confession caught you off guard. What, you? I love you since a long time. I couldn't confess because I had my reasons. He halted midway and captured your lips between his, unable to control the temptation. A gasp escaped your lips, but it was swallowed by him as he moved his lips against yours. A tear rolled down from the corner of your eye as you closed your eyes and kissed him back. You had always dreamt of this, and now it was finally happening. It felt right, but your eyes snapped open when Taeyong's face flashed before your eyes. You pressed your palms on his chest and pushed him away. He stumbled back, looking at you with hurtful eyes. You panted heavily and lifted your hand, pointing at the ring in your finger. I'm engaged. Guess you are too late. His face saddened when he looked at the ring and looked back at you. Your love doesn't matter anymore. I'm someone else now. So, you're telling me that your eyes are lying? You harshly wiped your tears and looked away. Stop this bullshit. Say that you don't love me. Say that the feelings are not same anymore. You gulped and a fresh sheen of tears blurred your vision. You opened your mouth to speak, but words refused to come out. I'm getting married next week. I hope you show up. You mumbled, looking directly at his eyes. You swallowed as you forced tears welling in his eyes, but you didn't care. Maybe you did care, but you were not going to show it in front of him. Giving him a last glance, you stormed towards the exit. He dropped his head to the floor. The tears that he had been controlling all these years rolled down his cheeks. All these years, he assured his heart by saying you both weren't meant to be. But hope arose inside him when he saw you again. The shattering of that hope had pained him too much, maybe more than ever. It was yet another day when drunk Jimin walked inside his house. His father had been witnessing this for 3 days now. He decided to confront him today. What is this, Jimin? Since when did you become a drunkard? Jimin ignored him and stumbled towards the stairs, but his father stopped him by holding his arm. I am talking to you. His words died in his throat when Jimin looked up at him. His tear-stained face made his heart clenched. Jimin sniffed and hugged him. She's getting married, Dad. I lost her for real this time. He sobbed, burying his face against his shoulder. His father rubbed his back, his chest tightening with every sob he took. Things would have been different if you hadn't tied me in a promise. I lost her twice, Dad, and it hurts. I lost the first person I ever loved, or maybe the only person, because I won't be able to love someone again. His father's own eyes filled with tears. He knew how it felt to lose the one you love, and yet he made his son choose between you and him. He was the reason of his son's tears, and there was nothing he could do except repenting what he did. Jimin was back in Korea. He was here to attend your wedding. Today was wedding day, and even if he forced himself to attend it, he just couldn't step inside the venue. Thus, he stayed outside and watched you leaving in a car with your husband. Now here he was, walking aimlessly in the streets. The edge of his eyes stung with tears. His eyes were red, dark circles lining them, indicating his disheveled state. He sniffed and rubbed off the unshed tears. Stop crying. She wasn't yours to begin with. He tried to coax his stubborn heart, but it refused to calm down as tears rolled down his cheeks. He harshly wiped them away. I said, stop it. He scolded himself, but then his eyes caught the sight of someone familiar. He blinked and stepped closer. His heart picked its pace when he recognized the person. He stepped closer and took a seat beside the person, his eyes never moving away from their face. It was your wedding today, right? Startled, you snapped your head towards him. Your eyes widened in shock before the same coldness took over and you looked away. Right, it was my wedding today. Then, you hear? He asked, thousands of questions swirling within, but above all, hope took birth. A hope that maybe he was thinking was a reality. I didn't get married. Taeyong was secretly dating a girl. He tried to talk to his father, but he was hell-bent on getting him married to me. When he told me the truth, I talked to my father and broke the engagement, and hence uniting two lovebirds. You smiled to yourself, remembering how happy Taeyong was looking with his bride. Only if you were lucky enough to get united with the one you loved. You sighed at your thoughts. So, that means I have a chance. He murmured, shifting a little closer to you. You snapped your head towards him, throwing glows. No, stay away from me. No, I won't. Be honest. You don't love me? Because I do, a lot. His words weren't supposed to make you feel butterflies, right? I don't. You murmured, refusing to meet his eyes. He chuckled and shifted a little closer again so that your shoulders were touching now. You sure you don't? Gosh, you're so annoying. You groaned and pushed off the ground, walking away from there. He got up as well and followed you. Give me a chance, please. No. I know you're hurt. I would be as well if I were at your place. But I had my reasons. My father said you and I are poles apart and there is no match between us. He bound me in a promise vine. You stopped and craned your neck to meet his eyes. Do you think I would have cared about it? When I loved you for who you were, not how much amount you have in your bank or your class. You stepped back and again started walking away. I know. I don't know how to make you understand, but I was helpless. But not anymore. Destiny has given us one more chance. Please let's not let it go in vain. He said, walking behind you. There were almost 5 feet distance between. No. Please be mine. No. Then make me yours. You stopped again and glared at him. No. I don't want to be involved in this love bullshit anymore. You turned and walked away again. I promise you won't get hurt anymore. Let's start this on a classic note. Tonight at 7, I'll come in a car, dress in a tuxedo and bring you some flowers. You can wear whatever you want and then we'll go on a date. You smiled through tears but didn't turn around and acknowledge his words. Told you I don't want this anymore. You heard his steps fastening and the next moment your feet were in air as he picked you up and pressed his forehead against yours. Please, no. I'll be a good boyfriend. I'll even massage your feet at night. You juggled but still shook your head. Please say yes or I'll cry. He sniffed, almost on the verge of breaking down into tears. You swallowed and looked up at him. You are so bad. I hate you. I love you more. To the moon and back. Please say yes. Maybe it was supposed to happen this way. You leaned closer and pressed your lips on his. He sighed against your lips and kissed you back. Tears streamed down both of your eyes. Finally, the weight, the hardship, the pain was over. The two lovers were finally united. I am sorry. I couldn't fight for you because I was helpless. My love for my father won against my love for you. But I promise I'll fight the world if you stay by my side. You nodded, nuzzling your head against his chest. I love you. Not the same as before, because I love you a lot more than the last time. I love you too, so much.